Call to order, Borough Crafton regular meeting dated November 24th, 2014. Flag salute by Mr. Emmendahl.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Emmendahl.
Yes.
Ms. Emmendahl. Here. Mr. Crum.
Here.
Mr. O'Brien.
Here.
Mr. Phillips.
Here.
Ms. Westphal is absent. Mr. Hayes.
Here.
Mayor Bloom.
Here.
Solicitor Daley.
Here.
Engineer Minsterman.
Here.
Mayor Trant.
Here.
Director Cavalli.
Here.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the bill list dated November 24th, 2014.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the bill list? Hearing no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes dated November 10th, 2014.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing no discussion, all in favor? Opposed?
I abstained because I wasn't here.
Very well. Motion carries. Citizens' comments. I see, is it Mike? Christ?
Yes.
Is this is about the waste management contract?
Yes, I just wondered if council would have any questions in regards to our bid proposal.
I'll ask you to stand up when we get to that, when we discuss it. And if
You got
there's
it.
any questions from council, they can direct them directly to you then.
That's fine.
Very well. No one else signed up. Okay. I'll entertain a motion for the receipt of the written reports, October 2014, which includes the treasury reports, the financial report, Act 511, the trash collection reports, the property tax collection report, the police report, the manager's report, the ordinance officer's report, building inspection report, public works, REMS report, Crafton Volunteer Fire Department report, and the engineer's report.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the reports? I'll ask, I'll give a moment, the engineer, if you want to speak to your report, if there's any things you want to highlight, you can do that now.
If you don't mind, I would like to talk about one issue.
Okay.
Two updates, actually. I wanted to give an update related to Woodlawn Avenue. There was an emergency excavation I think a lot of folks knew about. I just wanted to go through what's happened and what's happening there. One thing, I think there were some questions and some concerns even about why that excavation was made in a newly paved street. So I just wanted to go through our process. We have a specific process when a local government says these are the list of streets that we're going to pave or maintain. Obviously, excavating in a newly paved street, although not a structural or engineering problem, it is a perception problem. You know, it just makes you look bad. It makes the council look bad. It makes the staff and even the engineer look bad because it doesn't make sense. So what we do when we get the list of streets is we go and review the sewer videos for those streets, and we look for potential defects that could need excavated within the next 5 years. Any of those defects then are moved to your current repair contract and they're fixed. So that's coordinated before the paving hits. And that way when it's paved, no excavation issues in the future. But what does happen on a rare occasion, a camera from a CCTV operation will get stuck and it can't be removed. And so that's a potential for a backup, sewer backups in basements or even flooding in the sewers. So the remedy is to excavate and remove. You could have a jetter, a jetting device that's cleaning a line that could get stuck. Or in this case, a liner that's being installed could get stuck or twisted, and then the liner starts to harden. So what happened in this case, that is what happened, is that the liner got twisted, the contractor couldn't rectify it, it began to harden and block the sewer line. They made the decision to do an emergency excavation to remove that liner before it did flood anyone on the street. So we don't look at liners or televising when we get the list of streets, because, for example, this liner incident, over the past several years, I have no recollection of, or even hearing about, a liner that had to be excavated in hundreds, if not thousands, of liners over the past several years for the communities that we work with. So it's a very unusual, very unique event that would happen. Just like I said, getting a camera stuck in a sewer line and blocking it, that would require excavation as well. So, but we don't look for liners, and we don't look for televising or even cleaning locations, because they're numerous. You know, if you had to fix every sewer to perfection, it just wouldn't be reasonable. And liners and televising and cleaning don't need excavation. They're done internally to the systems, barring any very unusual or unique circumstance. So I wanted to just lay that out in case it wasn't understood exactly why that occurred. Some significant, serious, just bad luck, unfortunate. Construction's just difficult to predict. It's difficult to be perfect. But I just do want you to know that we take that very seriously. In this case, it did occur as a result of an emergency situation. But I do want to say that the construction is unpredictable, but just be assured that we are looking at your best interest, that we're looking that you get the work product that you paid for. And in that case, that liner's going to be fixed, and it's going to be installed. The road is going to be properly patched, although their first attempt at it, they didn't do a good job. We put them on notice that they will have to come back and reinstall that patch in the spring. It's already got some spots on it, some minor spalls that are occurring. So, in any event, we had two issues. First, you had the emergency excavation, then you had the contractor doesn't patch it right, you know, in the first place. When I say there are legitimate ways to do a, you know, curb-to-curb roadway fix, then he screws it up. But in any event, like I said, our main objective is your best interest, making sure what you get what you paid for, and we're still working to do that. We'll get that road patched and fixed properly in the spring of next year at no cost to Grafton. So just wanted to lay that out, and if you had any questions regarding that, yes.
My problem with that whole thing, Rick, was that Public Works wasn't notified, nor the borough, before they started digging up the street. I happened to drive by when they're digging a hole in the street, and I called Rob, and Rob didn't know that this was going on. I
Yeah.
think that this contractor, okay, the pipe people should have notified someone in the borough, either the management or the borough office, so they could let Public Works know that they're, you know, digging a hole in the middle of, you know, a 2-month-old asphalt job where the whole street was done.
Yeah, that's a great point. They didn't notify us either. One thing to remember regarding the liners is that they're not inspected. So liners, because it's in situ, we have them televise the line before they put the liner in, they install it, then they televise the line after, they submit the videos, and we look at the performance, the quality of the work, so we don't have to go to the site. So there's a significant savings in construction inspection by not visiting the liners, having them do their work. You know, that we might go out to check traffic control on a spot check basis, but so our inspectors aren't on the lining contracts, and once again, because stuff like that, I don't want to say never, but just doesn't happen. So yes, without a doubt, when Phil got word, because I got word from Rob, that's how we found out, from you to Rob to me to Phil, who's a project manager, he was quite upset, called the contractor, they had a lengthy verbal discussion about the issue. But once again, you know, it's not even something you can do to punish them. We let them know what the procedure is and how it needs to work in the future. So, but that's a great point. We felt the same way, that in that case, no communication was ridiculous.
So they didn't even place a call one either?
Okay, yeah, there was an emergency one call. It happened over the weekend. I called them Monday. Repairing a store line on Woodlawn. They called and asked them what happened. It failed, what the situation was, and they explained to me what happened with the liner. They did do an emergency one call on it that night, so they did. It was over the weekend. So the time, I guess, when the mayor seen it, I stated it, I contacted them to find out exactly what happened, what went wrong with, why they had to do the emergency bid.
Any other questions for the engineer?
Lastly, just to let you know that the Harris has been excavated and reconstructed, and it is getting paved tomorrow, and it should be complete by the end of the day. So luckily, we got some good weather to get that paving in, and tomorrow's the day.
Okay. Rob, do you want to speak to any items on the public works, or just take it as is?
If you got a chance to review the notes, I mean, we've been going crazy with the leaves. It's been a main focus of the department right now. This time of year, we do have some people taking days off, which is okay with me before the snow flies. But we've been focusing on leaves. Unfortunately, at this time, we don't have a posting or a leaf program where I can actually put the schedule up, which streets are done. By next year at this time, Public Works will have a posting that can go either through the mail or on the website, a list of streets, when they will be serviced, what days during the week and so forth, so let the public know that this is when we're gonna be here to collect those leaves. Right now, we go out, one truck takes half the borough, one takes the other half, and we sort of freelance. I think next year what I'd like to do is actually put a program in place where there's a schedule so the residents know what days will exactly be there, so.
How long does the program continue? Sometime into December, right?
It actually will continue into next week. Type of weather and season we're having, we're gonna, I tell residents and notify them that we'll be collecting leaves this week and then the next week, then we'll wrap up. If people call, we will service them with one truck, but the other trucks will be geared up for snow removal and other projects that we fall behind on.
Any questions for the public works director?
If he's doing the street leaf pickup for next year, can we get something for the street sweeper program?
That's gonna be in place, tell them, Joe. We, one of the first things I did when I started here was to check snow routes. We put in place 3 snow routes in Crafton Borough. So anytime there's a snow or ice event, the trucks go out, they have a route system that they use. There's checks and balances put in place, including, I think I gave council a copy of one of the routes. There's an operator's, filling the bottom part, the operator's responsibility, starting miles, ending miles. There's times on the sheet when the street was salted. I just tell them every load, just mark the time you did it. So we have they started salting the other day at 7 o'clock in the morning, finished up about 10. There's times listed on the sheet, started at 7, got a load at 9, and completed at 10, so there's extra times on the sheet. I'll get you a copy of that. So that's documentation that when the borough responded to the snowstorm, what time the street was salted. It can be used for anything, for any type of law investigations, accidents. It's actually a log to make sure that every street in the borough does get salted. Right now, we have 3 routes that encumber about, with travel time, about 35 miles a street.
I was speaking more of the street sweeper.
The street sweeper, I had that's on paper. I haven't put in the system on a computer yet. Once the leaf season is done, because I have these guys out there, I'm gonna sit down with the operator, review the list that he has put together, and it'll be a street sweeping program. I mean, it could get to the point where the residents at Crafton want their streets swept on a regular basis and have them posted. We could issue, it's gonna go that far, it can get to that. But there'll be a list of streets that we do now that he does on a regular basis, and I'm looking to do possibly put the sweeper out all year long for sweeping season, at least one day a week, and have a list of those streets that we plan to do on that one day. So you'll the goal is to sweep every street in the borough at least once a month.
Okay. Manager Tran, is there anything you want to highlight from your report?
Well, big things, contracts and grant applications for the last 2 weeks. So closing out DCER grant application for the rec plan, filing a big application with DCED for the comp plan and financial management plan, and starting up the grant paperwork for the pool grants for both DCNR and DCED. So lots of grant operation going on there, as well as the contracts that you're going to see on your agenda here for garbage and solicitor and auditor.
Okay. So I entertained a motion, it was moved and seconded. All in favor of accepting the written reports? Aye. Opposed? Very well. Okay, we'll move to the mayor's report. You have anything?
Just 2 quick items. Halloween was on the 31st. I forgot to mention in the last meeting that it went well, both the traffic in Thornburg was saturated. We had ex-officers on duty that evening, and there were no incidents to report. And then item number 2, I feel that a phone call just a while back, that the ordinance for the stop sign at Linwood and Promenade and the no parking signs for Steuben Street, and I told the resident that there had to be 60 days for the ordinance for it to go into effect once it was passed, is that right? 30 days, so this is rather than, whenever you get, whenever they're up, stop sign went up?
Both stop signs are up, and I rode actually with the chief to review the stop sign installation. The stop sign at Boston and Josephine is up, and the stop sign at Promenade and Linwood is up.
Okay.
The no parking signs, we get a count, we have them in stock, and we'll start installing them again once leaf season's over, and we'll free up some of the crews to do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, before we get into the meat of the agenda, there was the manager mentioned one thing that I need to do is we talked about, we received a bunch of applications for a solicitor. We're going to do something similar as we are with the borough manager position, where we're taking all these applicants in. We're going to create a committee to whittle them down to a subset that we're going to vote on, collectively interview, and then vote on collectively. I'm going to be a member of that committee. I'm going to ask Nina to be a member of the committee. I'm going to ask Mr. Crown to be a member of that committee. So we have the applicants now. So I'll work with the manager and set up some times for us to review them. The spreadsheet that we discussed will get disseminated to everyone, as we talked about at the last meeting, so you'll have that information. But the 4 of us, the 3 people in the committee, and the manager will meet to try to whittle it down. Okay. Moving into the meat of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2014-20, appointing the firm of Meyer Dusel as the independent auditor to perform the borough's 2014 financial audit.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this motion or discussion as it relates to the recommendation? This is a recommendation by the manager. I know that email went out to everyone on council reviewing and had a proper opportunity to review it. If there's any questions now as to why that one was selected or any concerns?
Well, the only thing I would ask is, we spoke about it earlier, about freezing the,
Year 1 cost over the 3-year period.
Right.
Yep, I can ask that.
but if we go ahead and vote it now, we have to accept that, right?
No, it's just for year 1, you're just appointing them for 2015.
Okay.
You have the option to extend it at the end of 2015 for 16 and 17.
Any other questions? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept the low bid of Waste Management for the residual collection of trash and recycling, and authorize the proper borough official to execute the contract under the terms and conditions of said contract, which shall commence on January 1st, 2015.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion on this, I'll ask Mr. Christ, you can come up to the microphone. If there's any direct questions of Mr. Christ, feel free to ask, or questions amongst ourselves, feel free to.
Council, what we have is with, John put specs together, okay, it's with the existing, with the larger trucks in the alley versus, okay, that you put in the specs a single axle truck in the alleys, which is probably about 33 or 35% of the municipality single axle trucks. Okay, so you have an option, the existing way, okay, versus the single axle, where there's a difference, I think it's $71, okay, 71 cents per home per month, okay, with the difference of cost, okay. And included in that is the HHW, Household Hazardous Waste Collection. If you're not familiar with it, here's how it works, okay. Currently probably have roughly 55 municipalities going on 200,000 homes here in western PA from Erie down to the Mon Valley, okay. This includes now all your e-waste, okay, all your televisions, computers, okay, that are no longer taken, for trash. But it includes fluorescent bulbs, oils, oil, anything basically that doesn't go in the landfill anymore, okay, is included, okay? It's on call, okay, unlimited, completely separate from your trash and recycle. A resident would call in, okay, it's a separate 800 number. We give them a time when we're gonna come to the house and pick up the material. In the meantime, you're gonna get a kit in the mail with specific instructions on what to do with it. If it's a liquid, you're gonna put it in a bag, okay? If it's the television or computer, just put it on the side, okay? And you don't take it to curb, you just leave it at your front door, okay, or your garage, and that specific day, we'll come pick up that material. It's pretty much an overview. Any questions in regards to the services?
I do want to point out, I think there was a question at the last meeting about the household hazardous, so just to be clear, it's the e-waste and the household hazardous waste that's included in that price. There was some question about that at the last meeting.
Any questions? Discussion?
No issue with the alley, right? You're still doing the alley.
Are you gonna do the alley with the single axle, or which, were you gonna the motion, with the traditional right now, or with the single axle? That's the decision you're gonna have to make. It's in the contract.
It's just alleys or no alleys was the.
Right, okay, right, alleys or no alleys.
So we're going alleys.
Gotcha, got it, yeah.
So same route, no changes to the route as we know it
So
today.
our resident really isn't gonna see any difference other than the e-collect and the hazardous.
And the additional cost.
Okay.
You're gonna see the single axles in the alleys now,
Right.
okay, along with the e-waste collection. That's what you'll see,
Okay,
all right?
all right. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept the proposed 2015 general fund, sewer fund, and road fund budgets and make same available for public inspection.
So,
Second. Any discussion on the proposed budget or anything that you'd like to highlight, Manager Tramp, on the one we received?
There is an executive summary that each council person has at their desk, as well as a full copy of the proposed budget was posted the copy for your review. It's also available on public display at the library and at the Borough Building. Some highlights, most importantly, there is no recommended increase in the millage rate for this year. You'll also see after this motion is a motion to authorize advertisement of the 2015 tax ordinance. You have to do that every year. It's the same millage rate as last year. So no change there. As we've talked all along, we've made some changes with respect to the budgeting process and how some of the funds are proposed to be managed. One of the bigger ones I want to point out, because there have been some discussion about capital projects. We did create a capital fund. So in there, you'll see your capital projects all in one place, including the revenue to support those projects. So that also has some impacts, for example, on your pool budget. You may notice that the operating cost of the pool went down. That's because in prior budgets, those capital projects were funneled through the operating budget. We pulled the capital projects out. You can see on page 47, you've got a list of project costs and income related to grants and transfers from capital fund. Or, I'm sorry, transfers from the general reserve. So you have a total of 1.3 million approximately in projects, and you've got a total of 1.3 million in revenue to support those projects, which is a combination of a variety of grants and a general fund transfer. There was also a question last meeting about the fund balance. We ended 2013 with 1.3 million. We projected to end this year with an additional 200,000 to bring the reserve to about 1.5 million. You can see to be expended from that reserve is 415,000, and that takes us to a fund balance of around 1.1 million, which is a good fund balance for a community of this size with a budget of this size.
Okay. Any additional questions on the proposed budget? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to authorize the advertisement of the 2015 tax ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this? Hearing no discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on. I'll entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2014-21, declaring and identifying a list of dilapidated and unsafe structures to be considered for demolition and removal.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this motion?
This is for 217 Lincoln. This is a requirement for the Community Development Block Grant. In order for those grant funds to be distributed, council has to adopt this motion.
So also includes Sycamore and Fountain.
They only funded one, 217, or 217 Lincoln.
So this is just for one,
One property demolition
This actually identifies all three. This was supposed to be done
before.
pre-application. The more recent concurring resolution we did was just for Lincoln, because that's not being funded. So this identified three structures that were considered unsafe and dilapidated, but all we're moving forward on is one.
okay, so each time we have to do a motion?
Each time we go through this grant process, you have to have these motions.
Okay,
You have to have these resolutions adopted. As Mary said, we originally submitted three, we only got funding for one.
Gotcha.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2014-22, closing out the Community Conservation Partnership Grant Project, BRC-TAG-16-55, as it relates to the Parks Master Site Plan and Pool Feasibility Study for the Crafton Borough Parks and Crafton Pool.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this motion, accepting these monies?
This closeout report is due to this date by December 1st, so with the adoption of this motion, it's the last piece of the puzzle that we need. One or two outstanding things from the consultant, but actually have it all wrapped up this week and submitted.
Excellent. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Public Works. I'll entertain a motion to approve the payment of $13,768.75 to T.A. Robinson Asphalt Paving Incorporated, representing payment number 2 and final payment for completed 2014 pavement maintenance contract as recommended by Gateway Engineers.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this motion of the payment? Hearing no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to approve the payment of $85,928.71 to Nyando Construction Incorporated, representing payment number 1 for the Thomas Street Sewer Separation Project as certified and recommended by Gateway Engineers.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this motion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to approve the payment of $64,169.48 to A. Moranti Contracting Incorporated, representing payment number 3 for the Clearview Avenue Phase 3 project as certified and recommended by Gateway Engineers.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion to pay A. Moranti contract? Hearing no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to authorize the Borough of Crafton to participate in the Year 5 SHACOG joint bid for O&M CCTV inspection and cleaning of sanitary sewers, approving an administrative fee payable to SHACOG in an amount not to exceed 3% of the contract for the borough's proportionate share, in addition to its pro rata share of related engineering fees.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion to SHACOG? Hearing no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Before we get into additional citizen comments, Mr. Amendola asked for a brief executive session on a contract matter. We're going to adjourn for a few minutes, and when we return, we'll take additional citizens' comments on anything that was not related to the agenda. Be back as quickly as we can.